Narrator, ominous tone. There are moments in history that send shivers down the spine, events so terrifying that they force humanity to question its very survival. This is the story of a weapon so powerful, so monstrous, that it could have wiped an entire country off the map in the blink of an eye. This is the legend of the Tsar Bomba, the most devastating nuclear weapon ever detonated. An explosion so vast it could be seen from space and felt around the world. But what if I told you this was never supposed to happen? That deep within the Soviet Union, behind locked doors and whispered conversations, even the very men who created it began to fear what they had unleashed. This is not just the story of a bomb. It's a story of power, fear, and the nightmare of what could have been. Narrator, suspenseful tone. It was the height of the Cold War. The world stood on the edge of annihilation as the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in a silent, deadly arms race. Tensions were higher than ever. But then, something happened. Something that made the Soviets desperate to prove their dominance. An American spy plane shot down over Soviet territory. The pilot captured, interrogated. A summit between world leaders collapsed into chaos. And Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev? He was furious. If the Americans wanted to play games, he would show them what true power looked like. That's when he gave the order, build the biggest nuclear bomb the world has ever seen. Narrator, dark tone. The scientists tasked with creating this doomsday weapon worked in secrecy, buried deep within Soviet laboratories. Among them was a man named Andrei Sakharov, a brilliant physicist, and a man who would soon come to regret what he was building. The design was rushed, calculations barely checked. They didn't have time for caution, only 16 weeks to create the most powerful weapon in human history. And as they worked, a terrifying thought began to creep into Sakharov's mind. What if this bomb was too strong? What if they couldn't control it? The answer would come far sooner than he wanted. Narrator, intense tone. October 30th, 1961. A remote Arctic island. A modified bomber ascends into the cold, gray sky, carrying a payload so large it barely fits inside. Below, Soviet soldiers and scientists watch with bated breath. The order is given. The bomb is dropped. A slow, silent descent, and then fire. A flash brighter than the sun. A blast so powerful it vaporizes everything in a 35-mile radius. The shockwave circles the earth 3 times. Windows shatter hundreds of miles away. The mushroom cloud rises 40 miles into the sky, higher than the stratosphere. No human could survive ground zero, and if the bomb had been detonated at its full capacity, 100 megatons instead of 50, it wouldn't have just destroyed the test site. It would have poisoned the planet itself. Even Khrushchev, the man who ordered the test, was shaken. And the scientists? They had stared into the abyss, and the abyss had stared back. Narrator, eerie tone. But perhaps the scariest part is what came after. The world watched in horror. The West realized that if such a weapon was ever used in war, civilization itself would end. It was a wake-up call, and it led to something few expected, the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, signed in 1963. But was it enough? Or was it only a pause in an even greater storm to come? Because deep in the archives of history, whispers remain of an even deadlier project, a bomb so powerful, it was never built. Theoretical plans for a 10,000 megaton explosion, one that could split continents in half. And with the world still teetering on the edge of conflict, one must wonder what nightmares still lurk in the shadows, waiting to be unleashed? Narrator, chilling conclusion. The Tsar Bomba was more than just an explosion. It was a warning, a glimpse into the abyss of human destruction. And the only question that remains is, have we truly learned our lesson, or is the worst still yet to come?